Week 14 had some interesting developments for um, our crew at Dynasty. I thought it was really interesting that Blake was deemed guilty. I had not been anticipating that. That really surprised me. And he got sentenced to 2 years in jail. But somehow he got out of it. I forget. It's been a couple of days since the episode. I think the judge kind of gave him a pass, and he was allowed to be on probation, basically. Um, that was a really interesting development, and that's what the episode's title is really about. Um, Alexis was even more interesting in this episode. I mean, she was intriguing, but she still seemed kind of nice in the season premiere. In not in this week's episode, it gets a little bit more interesting. She loves to paint. That got established last week, and there was a place on the Carrington Mansion, a little building that was built for her, an art studio. She ends up moving in there at the very end of the episode, which I thought was oh so fascinating. And it's gonna be wonderful. I mean, this is a little bit more in line with Dallas in that sense, but this is an ex who's moving in, and the head of the household doesn't want that. Whereas in Dallas, the head of the households really wanted all of the family to be together. This is not true in this scenario. You know, everyone's kind of just mad at each other right now. It's just the way that it's going to be for a while. Jeff can't really take care of Fallon well at all. Jeff loves Fallon, I think, but Fallon has just no sympathy at all for Jeff or his plight. She just doesn't care. She really likes her father. And Jeff, I think, I keep on waiting for Jeff to kind of divorce Fallon, but I don't think that's going to happen. If he hasn't divorced her yet, why would he? I don't know what he expects out of this relationship, but I don't know why he loves her either, because she doesn't treat him well at all, and she obviously doesn't feel the same way about him, nor did she ever. So that's just really strange to me. It was interesting. Crystal really tries to go out of her way to mend the Stephen and Blake's torrid relationship. Stephen's not happy about having Blake as a father, and Blake isn't too happy about having a gay son. And it kind of comes to a head in their dialogue exchange with each other. Neither of them respect each other. They don't like each other. Blake blames Alexis for creating a sissy boy, a sensitive guy. And, you know, Alexis still kind of is totally on board with her son being gay. It's really interesting that that's the angle that they're going in with Alexis at the beginning, because Alexis, I think, was supposed to come on and be this powerful villainess, having such a PC attitude. Which, okay, granted, this was 1981, so maybe that wasn't so PC at the time. Maybe that was just a really radical view that you would think a villain would have. But in today's lens, it's a very PC thing. So giving her this "it's totally fine" attitude is very strange to put on a character who is a villainess. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, we establish that well, I okay, so I had wondered, why does Crystal really stay with Blake? Because they have a terrible relationship with each other. He's really quite emotionally abusive, and there was a time last season that he was physically abusive, and I just thought that was incredibly disturbing. That gets referenced this week, this episode. And he says, you were right for lying to me because I shouldn't have any more children. And blah, 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 blah. I hate my kids. I hate my family. I should never have gotten a family. And I blame everyone and everything except for myself. That was pretty much what was going on with that. And Crystal's just like, and that's how she is for this week, and she was that way last week as well. She just doesn't know what to think. She's starting to realize this man that I fell in love with, I don't think that's who this man really is. I don't know who this man is. But she isn't bold enough to walk away from him. And she might never be. I'm not sure. So, let's see what else. Claudia was barely in it. I don't even remember what Claudia did, to be perfectly honest. So it seemed pretty inconsequential. Other than Steven kind of like blames himself for it because he's like, I've only loved two people and I ruined both of their lives because Ted ended up dying and I ended up, and then Claudia, like, your family abandoned you, blah, 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 blah. And so it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of double standard going on in these relationships and affairs and all of that fun stuff. Of course, it gets established at the end as Crystal faints on the floor that she is pregnant. Now, I made a prediction that the baby wasn't going to come to term, because that's typically what happens in these types of shows, and really having a child doesn't fit this type of show. That would be more at home in something like Knots Landing than in Dynasty. But I must be honest, I did look ahead a couple of episode titles, unintentionally so. I was just kind of looking for air dates, and my goodness, I spoiled that one for me. But I had already predicted that was going to happen. We'll talk about that when that week comes. Am I looking forward to this upcoming week? Yeah, I think it's going to be a good episode. I predict that the first cat fight is going to happen in this upcoming week. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Because the cat fights are coming. I know they are. And it's going to be great when we get to them. It's taken a while. But I have to say, I kind of really like the show now. And I didn't like the show for the majority of the first season. And it's taking a little bit of time to get into a groove for a second season. But that's okay. Obviously, this show found its footing, or found an audience, if it lasted 9 years. And I think we're getting to that point when we're discovering exactly what it is. So anyways, I hope you come back with me, and we will meet up at the Carrington Mansion again next week.